Okay, guys and girls, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. For those of you who just missed that, I nearly broke my back stepping off this fountain over here somewhere. About to head into a flamenco show very shortly. But last week, we had a phenomenal week with Inside the Community, another staggering week from a numbers perspective. And this is just a kind of display of kind of what can be done with inside of this. You know, when you're following the strategy, when you're following the system, you know, when you're plugging in. And, you know, we do these calls week in, week out. And some of you inside the support, some of you on the chat will be saying, Bradley, nothing changes. Matthew, nothing changes. And you know what? It doesn't. The entry model's the same. The way we take the trades is the same. The way that we get in and get out is the same. So we've had 12, 13, 14, 15 weeks of, you know, content back and forth, all posted onto YouTube. So again, like with this, you know, kind of come into this and being able to follow it to a T. Are you going to get to a point where sometimes you miss the initial entry by 1 or 2 pips, 3 pips, 5 pips, 7 pips? Yes. Market is moving incredibly high right now. You know, gold is doing astronomical things day in, day out. But the key with this is being here in 6 to 12 to 18 months. When the market gets to a point where it's fully calmed down and the world's not on its ass anymore, I don't know how long or if that ever will happen again. But as we do every single Sunday, you know, Matthew will go through the charts. He'll share with you his strategy and how it works, and you know, show you the precision. Because like I've been in this game now 9 years, coming on 10, and I'm gonna be honest, I've not seen someone with the precision that he has when it comes to trading. And when I first got started with him, I used to, I don't want to say question it at the beginning. I was like, man, how is he getting this all the time? When he was pressing buy or sell, like the market would just do this. And I'd be like, he's the guy making all the moves happen. So now, you know, with this, you know, seeing the results week in, week out, seeing, you know, the results channel blowing up on a week by week basis, that is something that me personally, and I know Matthew will second this, we'd love to see more of that from you guys. So even if you're making 50 pence, you're making £1, you're making £10, £15, £100, whatever it is, you know, please get to a point where you're sharing that, you know, in the results channel. And I'll put the at in here once Matthew does get started. But I'd love that done every single day if possible. We share them from our side so you guys can get, you know, your results shared here, there, and everywhere. But mate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you host, and I've got a flamenco show in literally like 10 minutes. So if you can do me a favor and wrap it up off the back end, the common questions. So I did have a few things that I wrote down. I'm just going to unmute you, bro, so you can do this straight off the bat. A few of the questions that we have had is regarding layering, as per usual, getting out at break even if we're a few pips out, and I know we cover that week in, week out as well. And also what to do if a trade is missed and comes back to re-entry. Should I re-enter? So I'm going to make you host, bro. I'm going to turn the chat off before we do that. If you want to request to share screen, and then we will dive in and go from there.
Evening. There you go, mate. I'll send the request on. Send is not allowed at the minute.
All right, okay. In that case, then I will make you host. Make host. Allowed to make host. There we go.
Cheers, chap.
And then when you click on chat, bro, just really quickly at the top, it'll give you the option to only send it to the host.
Right, where do I see that?
When you click on chat, there'll be like 3 little dots.
Host and co-host, yeah.
There we go. So like now only the questions will come to you, and you won't have Doris and Sue speaking to each other in the chat.
Right. Okay. All right. Brilliant. All right. Cheers, chat. Hope your back's not too bad. I heard you hit stop loss before we even started the call.
Man, did you see? Honestly, I'm going to do this real quick just so you guys can see the depth of it. Look at that. That thing nearly chilled me.
Brilliant.
Right, guys. I'll see you soon, yeah?
Take care, mate. Speak soon. Good evening, everyone. I hope we're all well. I'm just going to go ahead and jump on with it, and then we'll address the 2 questions that have been brought up. I'm not going to go through too many questions. We end up just sort of bashing our head against a brick wall. So hopefully you can all share the screen. Firstly, before we talk about how we enter, how we manage the trades, and how the group is updated, we need to talk about some trade discipline. And I appreciate a lot of you will have already heard me talk about this probably a million times, but that is the point with trading. Consistency, patience, and discipline is absolute paramount. It is boring. It is really laborious, and it is just basically essentially repeating the same pattern, the mechanical entry model, day in, day out. Nothing changes. So when I say trade discipline, I mean a couple of things. These are not in any sort of order. They are all equally important, and it's all really important that we focus on and listen to what I'm actually going to say. Take notes or take a screenshot if you want to. The first thing I mean by trade discipline is we need to make sure we respect the technical validity of every single setup. And what that means is that a trade that we send is valid as long as the structure of the trade holds, which means it's valid until stop loss or TP2. If a stop loss is triggered, it is simply marking where the idea is no longer valid, and it is not a failure, it's information. Because we trade with institutional order flow, we trade in line with the hedge funds, the banks, and the people that move price. It means if we hit a stop loss, we are thankful for it. We now know we are not aligned with banks and institution, and we don't want to be in that trade any longer anyway, because the agenda is not aligned with our execution. We do not get negative. We do not feel emotional about stop loss. It is the only thing in the market that is your friend. It is like having your seatbelt on in a car crash. The next thing I want you to focus on is maintaining consistent position sizing. I want you to avoid any emotional or impulsive changes in your lot size. I want you to stick to a fixed risk percentage per trade to protect your capital and reinforce disciplined habits. What this means in layman's terms is if you start with a 0.01 per layer, then stick with a 0.01 all week at least. You can make adjustments at the end of every week. Do not do it sporadically throughout the week or the days. For example, you'll see that we do hit 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 trades back-to-back wins. I don't want you then getting brave and increasing your lot size. I've seen it where people double, triple, quadruple their lot size, and then we hit a stop loss, and they wipe out all of the profit that we've made in that week. Equally, if you hit a stop loss, even if it's 2 back-to-back or 3 back-to-back, which is extremely rare for us, but it will and does happen, then we need to ensure that we're maintaining the lot size we use. We don't get scared and decrease it, because then it's going to take you a hell of a lot longer to build that equity back. So ensure that you're using an adequate lot size based on your equity so that it's not hurting you when you do hit those stop losses. The next thing we need to really focus on, and this is again equally important as all the others, is be consistent with your profit-taking habits. I need you to use a defined take profit strategy, whether that be scaling out or aiming for fixed levels. Consistency in how you take your profits is going to allow for that accurate performance review and again enforce that discipline. What this means is I want you to have decided an exit strategy before you even click the buy or sell button. If that means you take TP1, take TP1 all the time. If you're a TP1 taker and you take 30% off at TP1 and hold to TP2 and 3, do that all of the time. If you don't do any of those things and you hold all the way to TP3, would be silly, but if that's what you do, then stick to that every time. If it gets to TP2 and you set stop loss to break even, then do that every time. Whatever it is you choose to do, and it has to be in line with your risk tolerance, then do it all the time. The last thing I want you to maintain and make sure that you're keeping the same discipline with is your uniform intervals for layering. So when we scale into a trade, we must be placing each entry at the regular structured intervals that we give you in the stack. That's the 10 pip stack. And then that is going to allow you to keep your risk profile controlled and your execution systematic. And what this all boils down to is having a system that you rely on, that you trust, because your emotions, your head, and your eyes even will lie to you. You will overanalyze trades. You will look at a trade and believe it's going up. You will overanalyze a trade and believe it's going down. What we do is we don't make any decisions based off of emotion or what we think or feel. We use a systematic mechanical system to enter and exit the market every single time. With that out of the way, let's have a look. 2 examples of our layering, and I'll try and cover the 2 questions that have just been brought up about entries and re-entries and how fast price moves. So let's look at our first example this evening. It is a sell trade. This is a sell zone. I'm not going to go into why it's a sell zone, just understand that it is. And when price comes back into my sell zone at 3035, this is where I'm going to be sending the signal into the Telegram group. And this would be where you would be clicking the sell button. So at the market execution or market entry order, all I want you to check is that the first 4 digits match the first 4 digits given in the message. If price is higher than this, up to 10 pips, you could still choose to enter. It is going to increase your risk. What I advise you to do is if you pick up your phone and it's not at 4035, it's at 36 or 37, don't put your phone down. Don't get stressed out about it because price moved without you. It happens. You can wait. You can see if it pulls back to the 4035. Remember, our trades are valid until TP2 or stop loss. Even if we've hit TP1, if it comes back, it's still valid. What is your job is to journal to see how many times it pulls back and then goes off to a higher take profit level or stop loss. I can personally tell you, you've got more chance of hitting a TP level after re-entry than stop loss. Our results tell you that plain and simple. And the way the market moves is that often we are going to hit TP1 and go back to entry, but that's a decision that only you can make if it's based off of your risk management strategy. So don't get stressed out. Don't be messaging support. That's not going to help you. That's not going to make you profitable. Whining and complaining in support, they can't change the market. Sometimes, a lot of the time, price is going to move very quickly from our zones because we are executing at exactly the same time as the banks do, right? That's why a lot of our trades are zero drawdown, because we're in certain orders at the same time as the money movers. Now, if it does move away, just wait, be patient, keep a look at your phone. If it pulls back, you can enter. In this example, our first entry was 4035. As you can see, we'd be clicking the sell button at 4035. Then what we would do is we would layer our interval. So it would be 4046. Sorry, 36. So then you'd have a sell limit there. Then you would have a sell limit at 4037. You would have another sell limit at 4038. There's quite a big stack on this one, 4039. Sell limit at 4048. And 39 and 41. Zero, 41. 41. Very large stack on this one, but that's just the nature of this zone. We do not shy away from it because it matches the criteria and we get into the market as long as it's got the risk to reward that we want, which this trade would. So now in this example, as you can see, we're quite heavily stacked into this. In this example, you would have your market execution and then you would have the full stack activated, okay? And then what we would be doing as all of the, you have two options at this stage. The group is updated with the first option that I'm going to teach you right now. And what we're going to do, and when we get a full stack or a partial stack, when we have layers, all I want you to do is have the best entry running at all times. So in this example, 4041 would be our best price, right? That's our best entry. So we would leave this one running. And as the other layers all come into blue, we are not waiting for price to be here before we start closing these off. The reason we close these off as price comes back down through the layers is, let's say, for example, we now hit a stop loss. We're only hitting it on a partial stack. We're not hitting it on the full stack, which would be, damaging to your equity. Okay. The group is updated in this way. If you like higher risk, higher reward, you can leave all of the layers running to run to whatever take profit level you normally go for. But in this example and how the group is updated, how we teach you to layer out of trades is as soon as they come into blue, as you can see, price is coming through our layers again. We start closing them off until we've just got a best entry running. If I say stop loss to break even or at a price that I note in the group, and for whatever reason, it's not laid out for you completely, just move your stop loss to the price given in the chat. That way, you are going to be trading in line with me as closely as possible, and you will be out of the trade when I feel comfortable being out of the trade and not holding to the full stop loss. I will only ever call a stop loss to break even when the worst entry, the market execution that is marked on my trading view at the timestamp I sent the message, is covered. Now, some of you may get in slightly later, but I can't know that. All I can use is the data on the screen and know that if it comes to the market execution or the price that it was at when I sent the signal, the timestamped price, that's when I will call it, because that's the fairest and most reasonable price that we can get to call stop loss at break even. If you are slightly in drawdown, you can either close it off or set your stop loss to break even of the price I've put in the chat. Okay, we can't randomly guess what time certain people got in, other people's got in at a different price. We will never know that. All we can use is the data that's black and white on the screen. It's not because we're trying to steal pips from you. It's because we're trying to give you the most information for you to make informed decisions. So that's how you lay it out of the trade. And let's just show you a buy example. In this example, we have not got the full stack, but it's going to be exactly the same process. We have a buy zone. Again, I'm not going to go into why it's a buy zone. As soon as price comes back to 3996, I would be calling you to buy. So I'd be sending a signal at 3996. This is where I want you to immediately open up your phones, check it matches the first 4 digits. If it doesn't, you can wait for a pullback, or you can enter 10 pips above, but that is going to massively increase your risk. My advice is to wait for a pullback. We get them very, very often. What we find is a lot of people go, oh, price has already gone, they just put their phone down, right? Gold doesn't wait around for any of us. It doesn't care about your schedule. Be patient, be disciplined, and hold on for that re-entry. In this example, we can see that price is tapped 3996. You click the buy button immediately, and then I want you to be setting up those buy limits, okay? So this one will be 3995. And then next one will be 3994. And obviously in this example, I don't need to layer anymore because we can see evidently that it didn't layer fully. And in this example, we've only got 2 entries in the market. The same process applies. We only want our best entry running if you want to trade in line with the group, the most risk-averse way to trade. As soon as the next entries come into blue, we are closing them off. And then I want you to hold your best position to whatever TP level it is that you normally target. It's as simple as that. You follow the same process every single time. Don't overanalyze the trade. Don't try and make your own decisions. Don't worry about what your mate said on Facebook. Just follow this system and you will be profitable. I can guarantee it. I don't think there's any questions, unless if it is, I can't see them. If there are any questions, I can't see them. So let's have a quick look. Okay, there's 2 questions actually. How far back do you look at the 1 to 5 minute charts to enter trades? I actually use the 4 hour. So I start with the daily. I then go to the 4 hour. And then the 15 minute, the 5 minute, the 1 minute is how I enter trades. You only ever see the 1 minute because that's all you need to see. And that's how we get those ridiculously precise entries, because we scale right down to the smallest time frame that's humanly possible to use in reality. I know you did trade show in Leicester. Have you got any more coming up? Yes, potentially we do. There will be, when the time is right, we'll release information about that. And then Mark Maxwell, would you suggest a trailing stop loss on your runners? Yes, absolutely. I mean, I personally, my runner targets, I set stop loss to break even, right? So I will move my stop loss to break even with my runners and leave it there. Then if I'm holding it overnight, I only ever move it to where the swap fees are covered. So whatever amount I would still be breaking even at, plus my spread and the swap fees, is where I move my stop loss to, because you've actually got more chance of it hitting the full runner target if it's the further away your stop loss is. Okay, so I don't, you can do that if you want to, but for me, when I've extracted 80% of, you know, my TP3 and TP4 and TP5, I've already rinsed the market, is the way I look at it. If it wants to pay me twice, it pays me twice, and if it doesn't, it hits my stop loss, which is no risk anyway, so I've got nothing to lose. And I think that's it. Bradley, are you back? Are you? Or yeah, you are.
Yeah, sorry. One question I've had a few times that I forgot to mention. My thing's been pushed back 10 minutes. So, is it possible to give an update as to when the trade might be up and coming? So let's say we've not had a trade for 30, 45, 50 minutes, however long, which, it's not very often. But if that was the case and you're looking at a set zone, is there a way of maybe sending something in saying, guys, the market is approaching? Because obviously, if you're looking on the 4 hour time frame, there might be some key zones that can be identified prior. I'm not sure if that's something that we could look at maybe doing a little bit further down the line. But yeah, I thought I'd ask anyway, because it's been asked
Yes.
a few
So,
times.
do you mean sort of like how the last couple of weeks we've been sending those sort of trade ideas? If I'm off out the office, we say, look out for this zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could set up buy limits. The only problem is
Because
with
the,
buy
the thing
limits.
that the thing that I find, and this is where support gets it a little bit, and a few people may have it on the call as well, is like, if they knew I know this is like not mind reader shit, but if they knew 5 minutes before the trade was potentially about to enter that zone, then they would be a little bit more active on their phone. Whereas
Okay.
because of the wick entries that we're getting and the precision that we're getting, sometimes when they get to their phone, it's already hit that zone, reacted, pinged off and done 20, 30 pips. Whereas if they knew 5 minutes prior to it getting there, they may be a little bit more, in the know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what we could do is just, not in all cases, because at the moment where we're in, I mean, it's not uncharted territory now. We're back down to a reasonable level. There is data on the left-hand side. But if you take last week, the zones were being created as the moment we're trading them. But now we're in a bit of a range at the moment. I can certainly message the group and say, get ready, just say, get ready or whatever. Just say, look, if we're all looking at our phone and that trade comes in, we can get better entries. We
Perfect.
are
Yeah.
working. We are working about something behind the scenes at the minute to improve that as well automatically. But yeah, I don't see a problem with me saying, look, get ready. That's, I'm looking at my phone anyway and the screen. So yeah, we can certainly do that.
Yeah. Perfect. Other than that, there was nothing else from my side, really.
No, I don't think there's any more questions other than ones we've answered anyway. So I think we'll call it a night.
Magic. Right, guys, I'm going to go watch some flamenco. I'm going to heal my back and get a couple of paracetamol, because that's actually fucked my back, as that, actually. Thanks, guys.
Take
I'll
care,
see you
everyone.
soon. Have a
Speak
blessed
soon.
night. See you all soon. Appreciate you.
Bye
See you
bye.
later, bro. Bye bye. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.